one of the things that I one of the reasons I think I've long ago fell in love with and saw an entry point for myself through Phil's work was because for a long time I was afraid to write about topics that I thought I needed to sort of like tackle that particular area of my life and put a checkbox next to it. As in, I write a poem about politics. Done. I write a poem about race. Check. And it wasn't until I really started to fall in love with Phil's work that I think the reality of what that actually means sort of set in for me, which is to say that if topics that you sort of don't write about, they mean that much to you, you will write them again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And you find different entry points into them, and you talk about them from different angles and different spaces. And that was a really powerful lesson for me because lots of the topics that are most important in my life sort of scared myself out of writing about because I didn't feel like my voice was developed enough to write about them. I wanted to make sure I was writing at a level where I could start to talk about this experience I had as a kid or start to talk about my family in a particular way. And sort of that's just a myth for me now in the sense that if those topics are what make you who you are, then you spend a lifetime's worth of work unpacking them. And this is very much one of those poems. It's called Fishing the Little Pigeon. Once, when you were 10 years old, you and your father wandered the bank of the Little Pigeon for hours. The Little Pigeon is a river in Tennessee, sorry. Wandered the bank of the Little Pigeon for hours to find the perfect hole. A small cove buried in a quiet elbow of the river, the water black and frighteningly cold, a fallen pine bridged one side to the other, its roots gnarled against the muddy bank like broken fingers. Sunlight knifed through the trees. He was trying to teach you the art of a good roll cast. Start with the rod tip down. Let the current pull the line out towards the darkest part of the river, and then, without warning, snap the wrist backward like a whip upstream. He stood behind you while you tried. His large hands cupped around yours so that he could feel you feel how the line begged for trust. Changed in the air like a tongue, trying to find its blind way around the teeth of a lover's grinning mouth. Silence was the only rule. He wanted to teach you the one art he knew that didn't demand a word. Allowed grown men to sit beside a river, listen to the music in the trees with just their skin, trust the silence between them like an offering. He motioned you upstream for a new fly from his tackle, your grandfather's ornaments of war. You peered inside the lid to find 6 cold bottles. Their green glass, sweaty, impossibly tempting, forbidden as a closed bedroom door. Glancing over your shoulder, you opened one, poured it down your throat all at once, like a flame, just as you'd seen on TV 1,000 times. You swallowed the last wretched drop, tried to rub the burn from your lips. It would not leave. You marveled at the kind of man it must take to drink 6 of these in a single afternoon. How such poison didn't cripple him for the rest of his life. How the countless cardboard boxes in your garage mountained with empty bottles must have taken a lifetime's worth of this burning to collect. How your father must be the strongest man in the world for this. When he broke the silence and called your name, something he had not done once in 2 years, you panicked. Hid the glass container beneath a patch of wet Tennessee dirt, stumbled down the bank dizzy and teary-eyed. Still perched on the bank, his cast graceful as cello music. He asked you for the fly he'd sent you after. Asked what took so long. Asked why you were crying. He asked more questions in those 30 seconds than you could answer with mere head nods and shakes. Afraid to curse the quiet of the river with the sound of your own voice. To be the kind of man it takes to break a family tradition. But you said nothing. Protected that legacy with a fury. Nodding and shaking until your little neck ached. All the while, another legacy, a darker one, sliding neatly into your life without a word.